Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take the sources you've shared and really pull out the key insights, giving you that shortcut to being genuinely well informed. Today, we're getting into something I think pretty much everyone deals with. How do you adapt? How do you stay flexible without completely losing track of who you are? The source you sent, The Flex Without Losing Yourself Toolkit by Sandeep, it puts the question really well. How do we handle all these demands and opportunities while staying, anchored?
That's exactly it. Our mission here is to pull out the most useful, uh, actionable bits from Sandeep's toolkit. We want to give you real strategies to hold on to your authenticity when everything's changing around you. And it's not about being rigid, not at all. It's about being intentionally flexible, like knowing your core so you can bend without snapping.
Okay, so right away, the toolkit hits this core idea, flexing, adapting, but not losing your essence. And that immediately brings up that tricky part, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How do you actually know the difference? When is it healthy growth versus, well, kind of betraying yourself bit by bit?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question. And Sandeep's toolkit is built exactly for that. It gives you these practical frameworks, even scripts sometimes, to help you navigate those moments consciously. It's really about shifting from just reacting to things to intentionally adapting while, protecting yourself, becoming well-informed about your own limits and needs.
So, okay, to get a handle on this balancing act, where does Sandeep suggest we even begin? Like, what's the first practical step?
Well, what's really interesting is where it starts. It basically says, look, you can't be intentionally flexible if you don't have a good sense of your own boundaries. So it kicks off with these boundary-setting templates. And they're not about building walls, but more like defining your space, your energy, your priorities. Take the first one, the gentle redirects. This isn't just saying no politely. It's a strategy for when a request clashes with your values or maybe a commitment you've already made, like family time on a weekend. The idea is you acknowledge the request positively, state your own commitment clearly but, kindly, and then maybe offer an alternative.
Yeah.
Help them find another way without sacrificing your non-negotiables.
That makes sense, because that feeling of having to over-explain, yeah, that's tough. So that covers values. What if it's just like raw time? You just don't have the hours.
Right, exactly. That's where the time boundary template comes in. If someone asks for, say, 10 hours and you genuinely only have 2, you communicate that up front. The toolkit suggests language like, hey, I'd love to help with the presentation. I can realistically commit 2 hours this week for review. Would that specific help be useful, or should we think about someone else? Say, it's clear, it's specific, it gives them a choice based on your actual capacity.
I can definitely see how that avoids resentment later. I know I've done that, said yes, then kicked myself. Okay, so time, values. What if it's not quite either of those? What if you're just drained, running on fumes?
Ah, yes. The energy boundary. This one's crucial. When you're just feeling totally wiped, overwhelmed, this script lets you be honest about it. Something like, I'm really hitting my capacity right now, and I need a chance to recharge to be effective. I'll be much more focused after I reset a bit. Can we connect tomorrow afternoon instead? It validates your need, which is important, but it also shows you're still committed, just not right now. It shifts it from feeling like an obligation you can't meet to managing your energy intentionally. And using these consistently, you start to build this language, this habit of self-preservation that's actually kind, both to yourself and others.
You know what strikes me, besides just how useful they are, is how they give you the words. Because those moments can be so awkward. But setting these external boundaries, it feels like that needs a pretty solid internal sense of self first. How does Sandeep's toolkit help build that?
That's such a key point. Because you're right, those external boundaries, they're only as strong as your internal clarity. And the toolkit totally gets that. It shifts focus inward with the journal prompts in section 2. This is the self-awareness piece. It gives you structures for reflection, like the weekly reflection. It has prompts like an authenticity check, asking things like, when did I feel most like myself this week? What was going on then? Or an energy audit. What activities lifted you up? What dragged you down? What patterns do you see? The insight here is that you need that regular self-observation. It's the foundation for everything else.
Okay, so really zooming in on the week, seeing how things actually played out against maybe what you intended or value. What about looking bigger picture, deeper?
Yeah, for that, it offers monthly deep dive prompts. These go further. Like there's one on core values clarification, really nailing down your top 3 non-negotiables and asking honestly, how am I doing at living these? And another really important one helps you distinguish flexibility versus compromise. Like, when is adapting genuinely serving your growth, and when is it starting to feel like you're chipping away at yourself? This kind of regular, structured thinking is how you build and maintain that internal compass, that gut feeling you can trust.
Okay, so reflection is crucial. But turning that reflection into daily action, that seems like the next hurdle. Does the toolkit offer steps for that, like making it a habit?
It does, absolutely. It moves from reflection into ritual with the daily ritual planner in section 3. The idea is to anchor your day in this self-awareness. There's a morning anchoring ritual, just 10, maybe 15 minutes. Ideally before the emails and notifications start flying. It starts simple, grounding breaths, setting an intention like I'm enough. Then you quickly review your top values, maybe visualize honoring one of them today. But here's the really smart part, I think. The flexibility intention. You actually identify one area today where you might need to flex, and you mentally set your limit. What does bending look like versus breaking? It's proactive.
Wow, okay. That's like preparing yourself for the day's potential challenges. Very practical. What about at the end of the day? Is there a way to process it all?
Yes, there's a corresponding evening integration ritual, about 10 minutes. This is where you do a quick authenticity reflection. Maybe read a day 1 to 10. How much did I feel like me? What helped or hindered that? And you do a flexibility review. Where did I adapt well? Where did it feel off, like maybe I compromised too much?
Yeah.
The whole point is integrating the day's lessons, learning from the wobbles, and consciously setting yourself up to honor your authenticity again tomorrow. It's this gentle, continuous course correction.
Right, so we've got the internal compass getting stronger with the journaling, the daily rituals, anchoring things. But what about those moments? You know, when the pressure hits, you need to speak up and you just freeze. Or you say yes when you mean no. Does the toolkit help with the actual words in the moment?
It definitely does. Section 4 has this great anchor phrase cheat sheet. And these are just like fluffy affirmations. They're short, powerful phrases meant to ground you right when you need it, making a decision, feeling pressured. For instance, just reminding yourself, I can be flexible without losing my center. Or for boundaries, it's something direct like, no is a complete sentence, or maybe my needs matter too. The idea is having these ready, almost like mental flashcards, can give you that crucial pause, that bit of confidence to respond authentically instead of just reacting. And then building on that anchor, section 5 gets into the really practical say no conversation scripts. It stresses that you need to adapt these, make them sound like you, but the principles are solid. Take the appreciative no. This is perfect when it's a good opportunity, just not right for you right now. You say something like, wow, thank you so much for thinking of me for this. Right now, my focus really needs to be on whatever your priority is, so I won't be able to give this the attention it deserves. It shows gratitude, it's clear, and importantly, you don't get dragged into over-explaining or making excuses.
Yeah, that polite decline is gold. So many of us struggle with that guilt. What about when you're just genuinely swamped? How do you say no based on capacity without sounding unhelpful?
For that, there's the capacity no. It's about owning your limits. You might say, I really wish I could help out with that, but I'm honestly at full capacity right now. And I've learned the hard way that when I overcommit, I don't do good work for anyone, including myself. See how that frames it? It's about self-awareness and integrity. Hard to argue with. And then there's one for close relationships, the relationship no, which can be the toughest. Maybe something like, I love you, and because I love you, I need to be honest with you and myself. I just can't take this on right now.
Oh.
But can we talk about other ways I might be able to support you?
The power in these scripts is they focus on preserving the relationship and your own well-being, rather than just avoiding immediate discomfort.
Okay, this is really getting down to it. We've got the inner work, the language, but in the heat of the moment, making those daily choices, how does the toolkit help us apply all this when decisions pop up? Yeah, that's where the rubber meets the road, isn't it? Sandeep includes a really useful quick reference guide in section 6. Think of it like a cheat sheet for decision-making. Before you commit to anything significant, it prompts you to ask a few core questions. Does this actually align with my core values? Do I realistically have the time and energy, the capacity for this? Am I leaning towards yes because I'm genuinely excited, or is it guilt or obligation? And this one's powerful. What would I choose if I completely trusted myself? Just asking these can cut through so much noise. It also lists clear red flags, like if you start feeling resentful about things you've agreed to, that's a sign. And green lights, feeling energized when you adapt, that's healthy flexibility, helps you self-monitor in real time.
And what about when, despite trying all this, you just hit a wall, feel completely overwhelmed, like you are losing yourself? Is there like an emergency plan?
Oh yeah, absolutely. A toolkit needs an emergency kit, right? Section 7 covers this. When you have that feeling, that losing myself feeling, the immediate actions are designed to be simple, very grounding. First, stop. Just stop and breathe. 5 deep breaths. Second, Name it. Put a word to the feeling, I feel overwhelmed, I feel lost, whatever it is. Third, ask the key question. What do I need right now to feel even a little bit more like myself again? Just one small thing. Fourth, do that one small thing. Maybe it's stepping outside, maybe it's texting a friend. Fifth, use one of your anchor phrases. The insight here is that even when things feel chaotic, these tiny micro actions can pull you back to a sense of agency.
That feels like a very accessible reset button. That's good. What if the emergency is specifically struggling to set a boundary in a really tough moment? Someone's really pushing.
Right. The toolkit gives you reminders for that specific scenario, things to repeat to yourself. Like, you're not responsible for how someone else reacts to your boundary. That's their stuff. Remember that boundaries actually protect relationships long term because they build honesty. You can be kind and firm. They aren't opposites. Your needs are valid. It even suggests literally practicing saying no out loud by yourself first, just to get used to the sound of it. And it gives you some emergency phrases for tough moments. When you feel cornered, you can say, I need some time to think about this. Can I get back to you by, give a specific time, like end of day, buys you breathing room. Or if they express disappointment, you can acknowledge it but hold firm. I understand you're disappointed. This is what works for me right now. Here. And finally, it mentions having emergency support contact specific people you know you can call or text who will just listen or remind you of your own strength when you're wobbling.
Wow. Okay, this deep dive into the Flex Without Losing Yourself toolkit, it really drives home that this isn't about achieving some perfect state, is it? It's a practice. It's ongoing. It takes patience, commitment to yourself, really. But every time you manage to set a boundary or make a choice that feels truly authentic, that's a win. That's building the muscle.
Absolutely. It's a constant dance, isn't it? Adapting to the world around us while staying connected to that inner core. It's not static. And maybe that leaves a really important question for you listening right now. How could you use just one idea, one strategy from this toolkit to honor your authentic self when you feel pressured this week? Just one small thing.
That is a powerful question to end on. We really hope this exploration helps you navigate everything life throws at you with a bit more intention, maybe more clarity, and definitely more authenticity. Keep exploring, keep practicing, and keep living true to yourself.